Good afternoon, guys. Hope you're doing great today, and thank you for joining me. Today we get another story, A Tempered Wind. So let's begin. The first time my optical nerves was disturbed by the sight of Buckingham Skinner was in Kansas City. I was standing on a corner when I see a buck stick his straw-colored head out of a third-story window of a business block and holler, "Haw there, haw," like he would in endeavoring to assuage a team of runaway mules. I looked around, but all the animals I see in sight is a policeman having his shoes shined and a couple of delivery wagons hitched to posts. Then in a minute downstairs tumbles this Buckingham Skinner and runs to the corner and stands and gaze down the other street at the imaginary dust kicked up by the fabulous hoofs of the fictitious team of chimerical chimerical quadrupeds. And then B. Skinner goes back up to the third story room again, and I see that that the lettering on the window is the Farmers Friend Loan Company. By and by, Strawtop comes down again. Strawtop, Straw. Strawtop comes down again, and I cross the street to meet him, for I had my ideas. "Yes, sir." When I got close, I could see where he overdone it. He was rope, rope, rope. He was re-up, all right, as far as his blue jeans and cowhide boots went, but he had a matinee actor's hands, and the rice straw stuck over his ear looked like it belonged to the property man of the old homestead cow curiosity to know what his graft was got to the best of me. To know what his graft was get the best of me. "Was that your team broke away and run just now?" I asks him, polite. "I tried to stop them," says I, "but I couldn't. I guess they're halfway back to the farm by now. Gosh blame them darned mules." "Gosh blame this them darned mules," says Stroutup, in a voice so good that I nearly apologized. "They are a loose bustling loose. They are loose a loose bustling loose." And then he looks at me close, and then he takes off his hayseed hat and says in a different voice, "I'd like to shake hands with Parlewu Pickens, the greatest street man in the West, barring only Mon- Montague Silver. Montague, Montague Silver, which you can no more than allow." I let him shake hands with me. "I learn under Silver," I said. "I don't begrudge him the lead. But what's your craft, son?" I admit that the platform flight of the non-existing animals at which you remarked "whoa" has puzzled me somewhat. How do you win out of the trick? Buckingham Skinner blushed. Pocket money, says he. That's all. I'm temporarily unfinanced. This little cup de rice straw is a good for $40 in a town of this size. How do I work it? Why, I involve myself, as you perceive, and the loathsome apparel, in the loathsome apparel of the rural dub. Thus embalmed, embalmed, embalmed. I'm Jonas Stubblefield, a name impossible to improve upon. I repair noisily to the office of some lawn company conveniently located in the third floor front. There I lay my hat and yarn gloves on the floor and ask to mortgage my farm for 2000 to pay for my sister's musical education in Europe. Loans like that always suit the loan companies. It's 10 to 1 that when the note falls due, the foreclosure will be leading the Simquavers by a couple of lengths. Well, sir, I reach in my pocket for the abstract of title, but I suddenly hear my team running away. I run to the window and amid the word or exclamation, whichever it may be, whiz. Hoa! Then I rush downstairs and down the street, returning in a few minutes. Done the mules, I says. They done run away and busted the double tree and 2 traces. Now I get to hoof it home, for I never brought no money along. Raccoon will talk about the loan some other time, gentlemen. Then I spreads out my tarpaulin, like the Israelites, and wait for the mama to drop. Why, no, Mr. Stubblefield, says the lobster-colored body in the specs and dotted PQ West. Oblige us by accepting this $10 bill until tomorrow. Get your harness repaired and call in at 10. We'll be pleased to accommodate you in the matter of this loan. It's a slight thing, says Buckingham Skinner, modest, but as I said, only for temporary loose change. It's nothing to be ashamed of, says I, in respect for his mortification. In case of an emergency, of course, it's small compared to organize the trust or breach with whist. But even the Chicago University had to be started in a small way. What's your craft these days? Buckingham Skinner asks me. The legitimate, says I. I'm handling rhinestones and Dr. Olin Sinapis electric headache battery, and the Swiss warblers bird call. A small lot of the new queer ones and twas, and the bonanza budget, consisting of the rolled gold wedding and engagement ring, six Egyptian lily bulbs, a combination pickle fork and nail clipper, and 50 engraved visiting cards. No two names alike, all for the sum of 38 cents. 2 months ago, says Buckingham Skinner, I was doing well down in Texas with a patient instantaneous fire candler made of compressed wood, ashes, and benzene. I sold loads of them in towns where they like to burn niggers quick without having to ask somebody for a light. And just when I was doing the best, they strikes oil down there and puts me out of business. Your machine's too slow now, partner. Partner. They tells me we can have a coon in hell with this here petroleum before you old Flynn and Tinder truck can get him warm enough to profess religion. Profess. And so I give up the candler and drifts up to KC. This little curtain raiser you see me doing, Mr. Pickens, with this simulated farm and the hypothetical team ain't in my line at all, and I'm ashamed you found me working it. No man, says I kindly, need to be ashamed of putting the ski bunk on a loan corporation for even so small a sum of $10 when he is financially abashed. Still, it wasn't quite the proper thing. It's too much like borrowing money without paying it back. I like Buckingham Skinner from the start, for as good a man as ever stood over the axles and breathed gasoline smoke. And pretty soon we get thick, and I led him on a scheme I'd had in mind for some time and offers to go partners. Anything, says Buck, that is not actually dishonest will find me willing and ready. Let us perforate into the inwardness of your proposition. I feel degraded when I'm forced to wear property straw in my hair and assume a bucolic air for the small sum of $10. Actually, Mr. Pickers, it makes me feel like the Ophelia of the great accidental air all-star one night consolidating unexpected theoretical aggregation. Alright, guys, thank you for listening to me today and see you tomorrow.